I wish to register a complaint.
I've got a viper in this box, you know.
Really? Good gracious me.
Oh yes, it's not an ass. It looks rather like an ass, but isn't one. It's a viper. Some people can't tell the difference between a viper and an ass. More fool them, I say. Ha ha ha.
Yes.
Cleopatra had an ass. It bit her in the bra. I'd rather have a viper myself.
Well, that's all right then, isn't it?
Not that they're cheaper to run. Oh no, if anything, the viper is more voracious than the asp. My viper eats like a horse.
Like a horse, eh?
Oh yes, yes. Yes, I'd like a horse. Yes, I've always yearned for a horse. I'd love to have a horse. Mind you, you never cram a horse into a little box like this. It's too small for a horse.
Yes, it would be difficult, I can see that.
It wouldn't be difficult, it'd be bloody impossible. Cram a horse in a little box like this? You try it. No, thank you very much. You can't go cramming horses into a little box like this. Thank you very much.
Yes, I realise that.
I haven't got a fish in here. There's no fish in my box, you see. It's only cardboard, this box, you see. So if you had a fish in here, you get the water seeping through onto your knees, you see. It's ideal for a viper, but no good for a fish. You see, they haven't waterproofed cardboard yet. Or if they have, they haven't told me.
Haven't they?
Or if they've told me, I've forgotten one way or another. So, this box, alas, is no good for a fish. Some people think I've got a toad in here.
Really?
A toad in here? If they knew me, they'd know I wouldn't have a toad in here. I can't abide toads. Vipers devour toads, you know. They devour them. They come up slinkily behind the crouching toad, and suddenly there's nothing to smile about here. And suddenly the toad goes all the way down the viper's belly. You can see it starting off large at its throat, and then it got smaller and smaller and smaller until it is ejected like a small black barrow. Serpents. I'm sorry, did I interrupt?
Not at all, no, I was just thinking of the barrow.
Serpents hear through their jaws, you know. It's the bone structure that does it. Oh yes, there's no doubt about it. It is the bone structure.
Yes, I suppose it would be.
A bee? A bee? I haven't got a bee in here, thank you very much. You'd hear it buzzing if there was a bee in here. Here, have a listen to my viper. You won't hear any buzzing.
No,
Have you heard any
thanks.
buzzing?
No, thanks, I believe you.
No fangs? No fangs? You won't find fangs on a bee. Thank you very much. That's one thing you won't find on a bee is fangs. Serpents bite. Bees sting. That's how you tell the difference between a bee and a serpent.
I see. Now look, I'm trying to read my paper. Would you please be quiet?
Be quiet. Bees aren't quiet. Bees make this terrible buzzing sort. Oh, buzz, buzz, buzz goes a bumblebee. Twiddly-diddly goes a bird. Listen,
Look,
no noise from here.
Look, please, I wish you would shut up.
Oh, shut up, all right. You wouldn't catch me setting a viper loose in a railway carriage, thank you very much. Not my viper loose in a railway carriage, no thank you very much. It's completely shut up. Here, where are you going?
I'm going into the next compartment.
I don't see why. I'm not going to let my viper loose.
It's not that, if you don't mind my saying so, it's just that I find your conversation a bore.
I beg your pardon?
I said a bore, B-O-R-E, a bore. Good night.
I haven't got a bore in here. What can possess him to think I've got a bore in here? It's a viper, all right. It's not an asp.
Happy, darling?
Yes.
What are you thinking?
Oh, nothing. I was just remembering something you once said about there being three phrases that always crop up when an affair is coming to an end.
I've forgotten.
One was happy, darling. One was, what are you thinking? I don't remember what the third one was.
Silly, darling. I love you.
Oh, yes, that was it.
It's Michelangelo to see the Pope. Michelangelo Buonarroti to see the Pope.
Evening, Your Grace. Evening, Michelangelo. I want to have a word with you about this Last Supper of yours.
Oh, yes?
I'm not happy with it.
Oh, dear. It took hours.
Not happy at all.
Do the jellies worry you? No, they add a bit of colour, don't they? Oh, I know, you don't like the kangaroo.
What kangaroo?
I'll alter it, no sweat.
I never saw a kangaroo.
Well, it's right at the back, but I'll paint it out, no problem. I'll make him into a disciple. All right now?
That's the problem.
What is?
The disciples.
Are they too Jewish? I made Judas the most Jewish.
No, it's just that there are 28 of them.
Well, another one would hardly notice then. So I'll make the kangaroo into a disciple. And, all right. We'll lose the kangaroo altogether. I don't mind. I was never completely happy with it.
That's not the point. There are 28 disciples.
Too many?
Well, of course it's too many.
Well, in a way, but I wanted to give the impression of a huge get-together, you know, a real Last Supper. Not just any old supper, but a proper final treat. A real mother of a blowout.
There were only 12 disciples at the Last Supper.
Well, supposing some of the others happened to drop by.
There were only 12 disciples altogether.
Well, maybe they'd invited some friends.
There were the 12 disciples and our Lord at the Last Supper. The Bible clearly says so.
No friends?
No friends.
Waiters?
No.
Cabaret?
No.
Well, you see, I like them. They fill out the canvas. I mean, I suppose we could lose 3 or 4 of them, you know, make 1 or 2 of them.
There were only 12 disciples.
I've got it. We'll call it the penultimate supper.
What?
There must have been one. I mean, if there was a last one, there must have been one before that, right?
Yes.
Right, so this is the penultimate supper. The Bible doesn't say how many people were there, does it?
No.
No, but there you are.
Look, the Last Supper is a significant event in the life of our Lord. The penultimate supper was not, even if they had a conjurer and a steel band. Now, I commissioned a Last Supper from you, and a Last Supper I want.
Yeah, but look.
With 12 disciples and 1 Christ.
1?
Yes, 1. Now, will you please tell me what in God's name possessed you to paint this with 3 Christs in it?
It works, mate!
It does not work!
It does! It looks great! The fat one balances the 2 skinny ones!
There was only 1 Saviour.
Well, I know that. Everyone knows that. But what about a bit of artistic license?
1 Redeemer!
I'll tell you what you want, mate! You want a bloody photographer! Not a creative artist with some imagination!
I'll tell you what I want. I want a Last Supper with 1 Christ, 12 disciples, no kangaroos by Thursday lunch, or you don't get paid.
Bloody fascist!
Look, I'm the bloody Pope. I may not know much about art, but I know what I like.
Hello? Hello? Hello. I want to send a telegram, please, if I may. Yes? Well, I am the subscriber, and my name is Desmond. Yours is Glynis. Yes. My surname is Desmond. Yours is Bud. We seem to be drifting into a relationship of somewhat redundant intimacy. My address, 23 Gloucester Crescent, NW1, telephone number 485-831-9. And the telegram is going to a Miss Tessa Prosser, that's Tessa Prosser, 16 Chalcott Square, SW19. Right. Right is not the telegram. What I will do, I will say, here is the telegram, and then anything I say subsequent to that will be the telegram. Here is the telegram. Are you still there? No, that's not it. No. The telegram is, bless your little, yes, bless your little, botty booze. Botty booze. I've never been called upon to spell it. I suppose it's B-O-T-T-I-B-O-O-E-S, though I think probably the last E is not statutory. Well, it's a diminutive of bottom, I suppose. No, Miss Prosser doesn't have a diminutive bottom. That's partly the joke, you see. Anyway, and I want to sign it, Desmond Donkey Draws. Well, it's a term of affection Miss Prosser is wont to use at moments of heightened excitement. Well, that's the whole of the message. Then I want to round it off by the word Norwich. Norwich. Well, it's an idiomatic way of saying knickers off ready when I come home. You see, it's the initial letters of each word. Yes. I know knickers is spelt with a K. I was at Oxford. It was one of the first things they taught us. And in a perfect world, I suppose it would be courage. But I don't think that carries quite the same idiomatic force. Burma? No, I haven't come across that. Burma. Now, what's that? Be upstairs ready, my angel. Yes, well, I like that. Very nice. I don't think it would be appropriate in this case for strictly topographical reasons. Because Miss Prosser, in fact, lives in a basement flat. And if she were upstairs ready, she would, in fact, be in the flat of the window dresser from Bron and Hollingsworth. And I don't think she would want that. And I certainly don't think he would. That's it, then. What? Obscene? Norwich? Oh, I certainly don't think so. Oh, no. I mean, what about the Bishop of Norwich? When he signs his letters, Cyril Norwich, does he mean Cyril Norwich? Or Cyril knickers off ready when I come home? Who knows? Goodbye, goodbye.
Come on, everybody, it's, what is it? All right. Come on, everybody, it's Gibbon time. We're the goodies, how do you do? We just been out to the zoo. Saw a monkey in a cage doing a dance that could be the rave. It's not hard, so let's all do the funky Gibbon. Woo, woo, woo. Do the funky Gibbon. We are here to show you how. Ooh, 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 ooh. The funky Gibbon. It's just like this. Come on, do the funky Gibbon now. Dogs are always howling, cats are always yowling, but Gibbons only like to sing and dance. He be like that monkey, get a little funky, and in the wild start to smile. Gibbon half a chance to the funky Gibbon. We are here to show you how. Ooh, 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 the funky Gibbon. It's just like you, come on, funky Gibbon now. Funky Gibbon, funky Gibbon, funky Gibbon, funky. All right, everybody, ready to do the funky Gibbon. Funky Gibbon.
Drop one arm down by your knees, let the other arm reach up to the trees.
Funky Gibbon. Get your wrist go lit like a big baboon and get ready to sing. This Gibbon's true. Funky Gibbon. Will you give me a new? Come on, give me a new. Will you give me a new? Now put them together and what have you got? Oh, you do not look silly. The funky Gibbon. We are here to show you how. The funky Gibbon. It's just like you. Come on, do funky Gibbon now. Funky Gibbon. Funky Gibbon. Funky Gibbon. Funky Gibbon.
Tie a yellow gibbon round the old tree.
Funky Gibbon.
Funky Gibbon.
Thank you very much.
Hello and good evening. There always comes a dread moment on an occasion of this nature when someone gets up on his or her hind legs and makes a speech. That moment has now come. I know that the last thing anybody here wants to do is to listen to a speech, and just when you're all beginning to enjoy yourselves. But the last thing I want to do is to make a speech, believe me. But I do think that we cannot let an occasion of this nature go by without stopping for a moment just to say a few words about what a worthwhile and enjoyable occasion it is. We all of us take things for granted too easily. I know I do. And I do think that unless somebody stands up and just bothers to put it into words, we might all just sit here without realizing quite what a worthwhile and enjoyable time we were all, in fact, having. It cannot, I think, be said too often that an occasion of this nature doesn't just happen of its own accord. A lot of people have had to work very hard to make it possible. They've given up a lot of very valuable time when they could perhaps have been doing other things. Things which were perhaps even more worthwhile and enjoyable. And I think we should perhaps try to remember that. Let's all have a good time and enjoy ourselves by all means. But let's try to bear in mind as we do so, quite how much hard work and long hours and personal sacrifice have gone into it. Oh, and I must just say here before I forget that Mr. Churt tells me there are still a great number of tickets left unsold for the grand lucky draw. So could we all please put our backs into it and make one last effort? There are a lot of splendid prizes to be won, and anyway, the prizes are not what counts. Oh yes, and would people please not put unwanted sandwiches and other matter into the heating vents? I know how easy it is for little fingers to do, and perhaps for fingers that are not quite so little, but getting out small pieces of decayed fish paste with knitting needles and surgical forceps, as we had to do last year, does waste a great deal of the very limited time available to the committee. I should just like to say a word of thanks to the many people involved in making tonight such a success. I'm sure that having their names mentioned was the last thing they had in mind in the first place. And they'll probably never forgive me. But I hope they'll forgive me if there are any names I forget to mention. First and foremost, of course, our heartiest thanks are due to Mrs. Parry. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that without Mrs. Parry, an occasion of this nature simply could not take place. This is, in a very special sense, her baby. Ever since the late Lord Combermere, on his deathbed, first planted the seed. Our thanks are due, in no less measure, to Mr. Huddle for his unfailing cheerfulness and for his apparent readiness in emergencies to dash almost anywhere in the middle of the night, clad in old army boots and a Manchester United scarf, and other things too, not just those. And I should like to say a special word of thanks to Mr. Sparrow, who has come along here tonight against doctor's orders, and in spite of being in considerable pain. I think we might perhaps try to remember that later, when we see him trying to entertain us all once again. With Just a Song at Twilight on the musical Saw. I must also mention the noble work performed by so many others, too numerous to mention. Mrs. Shortstreet, Mrs. Flowerdew, the Mrs. Wales, Mr. Churt, Mr. Hapforth Senior, Mrs. Winterbourne, Miss Tummerley, Mr. Pettigrew. And last but not least, I should like to thank all of you for coming here tonight and working so hard to enjoy the entertainment that all these good people have worked so hard to provide. It is particularly gratifying to see so many young faces here tonight. We often think that young people today are only out for a good time. Well, that certainly can't be said of these young people. It's also very gratifying to see all these other people who are not quite so young. I know how tempting it is, believe me, just to sit in front of a good fire and watch your favourite television programme. And there are one or two rather good programmes on tonight. I know how tempting it is to think, oh, let someone else go out this time and get themselves entertained. I must say, it is remarkable how an occasion of this nature does seem to bring out the best in people. It's just like in the war or at a great rail crash. Everybody cheerfully rallies round and makes the best of it. I would just like to say, in all sincerity, that it is people like you that make an occasion of this nature the sort of occasion it is. I'm sure you'll all be very gratified to hear that as a result of tonight's efforts and during the past year, we have raised the very gratifying total of £23.17. Well, you don't want to sit here listening to me talk, so I'm going to sit down and let Mr. Dauntwater stand up and speak. Mr. Dauntwater, I should explain, has agreed at very short notice to make the speech, thanking me for my speech. So I should just like, if I might in advance, to save time later on, to thank Mr. Dauntwater now for his speech, and to thank you all very much for listening to me. And remember, not in the heating vents.
Michael Norman Smith, you stand here charged with the murder of Arthur Edward Hopcroft, Brian Graham Whittaker, Malcolm Kenelm Bennett, Peter Sebastopol Lewis, Rita Ann Merrilis, Viscount Lindsay de Paul, Fraulein Kiki Mitzi Yallop, Lieutenant General Richard and Lady Starkey Booth, Cynthia Jane Starkey Booth, Richard Edward Starkey Booth, Vanessa Snakehips Starkey Booth, and Master Paul Starkey Booth. The Reverend John Claude Motson, Father Kevin Joyce O'Malley, Monsignor Jean-Paul Renard, Padre Robert Henry Noonan, Rabbis Edwin and Carey Makepeace Goodgold, Pope Mario Vacotti, Divisional Fire Officer Karl Hartz Bierlich, Archbishop Stavros Nicholas Abplanalp, His Most Holy and Invisible Oneness Huang Kai Sung, Bombardier Arthur Butter, and Nicholas Parsons. On or about the morning of the third Sunday in Mr. Smith, have you anything to say before this court considers your case?
Yeah, I did them.
Just say how you plead.
Well, I did, you know, the murders, but as you're all so looking forward to this, I thought I'd plead not guilty.
Oh, there you go. We'll bear that in mind when you come to sentencing you.
Thank you, Michael.
Don't call me Michael in court. Counsel for the prosecution.
Sorry,
Yes, what is it?
Charged with murder, was it?
Beg your pardon?
What did you say right after Smith?
Never mind, just get down what you can. Counsel for the prosecution.
Prosecution?
Shut up! Just a minute. Where is the counsel for the defence?
He is not here yet, my lord. He said we could stop without him.
Very well, carry on.
My lord, this terrifying and heinous case. Here he is.
Sorry I'm late, my lord. I couldn't find a kosher car park. Don't bother to recap, but I'll pick it up as I go along. Now, you are Michael Norman Smith, alias Michael Norman Smith?
That is correct.
Why is your alias the same as your real name?
Well, I used to use the name of Henry Alias, but this got me into the suspicions of the eyes of the law, sir.
I see. Mr. Smith, did you murder all these people?
Yes, I did, sir.
I suggest that you murdered these people.
Yes, sir, I did.
I put it to you that you murdered these people.
Yes, sir, I did.
I submit that you murdered these people.
I did murder these people.
Did you or did you not murder these people?
Yes, I murdered
yes
these people.
Yes or no?
Yes, I murdered these people.
Answer the question!
I murdered these people, sir.
We've wheedled it out of you at last, haven't we?
Mr. Bartlett, you do realise you're meant to be the counsel for the defence.
Sorry, everyone. Oh. Shit, what a goof. My lord, would you please ask the jury to strike all that from their minds?
Certainly, Mr. Bartlett. Member of the jury, you are to strike that from your mind, and you also have to strike it from the record, Dolores.
Oh, that's all right. I haven't got that far yet.
Now, Mr. Bartlett, would you like to proceed for the defence?
Certainly, my lord. I would like to call the first defence witness, call the late Arthur Aldridge.
Late Arthur Aldridge? The late Arthur Aldridge?
Yes, my lord.
Mr. Bartlett, is there any point in questioning the deceased?
I beg your pardon, my lord?
Well, your witness is dead.
Yes, my lord. Well, virtually, my lord. Mr. Aldridge...
He's not completely dead?
No, he's not completely dead, my lord, no. But he's not at all well. Mr. Aldridge...
If he's not completely dead, what's he doing in the coffin?
It's merely a precaution, my lord. Now, if I may be allowed to continue. Mr. Aldridge, are you aware you are a stockbroker of 10 Savona Close, Wimbledon?
What was that knock?
It means yes, my lord. 1 knock for yes, 2 knocks for no. Mr. Aldridge, would you be prepared to say that you are not at all well? In fact, would you be prepared to say that you are, as it were, in a manner of speaking, what is commonly known as dead? I think he is dead, my lord.
Where is all this leading?
That will become apparent in one moment, my lord. Mr. Aldridge, are you thinking or are you just dead? No further questions, my lord.
Mr. Bartlett, you can't just come in and dump dead bodies in this court. Get rid of that thing. Counsel for the prosecution.
Thank you, my lord. I'd like to call my first witness. Call Police Constable Pan Am.
Oh, stop that, Constable! Stop that! Oh! There'll be plenty of time for that later on.
You are Police Constable Pan Am?
No! I shall deny that to the last breath in my body. Oh, sorry, yes.
Do you recognize the defendant?
No, I've never seen him before in my life. I swear it. Oh, yes, he's the one. He's done it all right. I'd recognise him anywhere.
Would you tell the court in your own words, PC Pan Am, what happened?
Oh, yes. I was proceeding in a northerly direction up Alitalia Street when I saw the deceased
at an upstairs window bearing her bosom to the general public. She then took off her... Oh, wait a minute, that's the wrong story, sorry. Oh, yeah. There were these 3 nuns in a train, and the ticket inspector said... Oh. Anyway, I clearly saw the deceased...
Defendant.
The defendant doing whatever he's accused of red-handed. There's no doubt about that. When cautioned, he said, "It's a fair cop I did it all right. No doubt about that." Then, bound as he was to the chair, he assaulted me and 3 other constables while bouncing around the cell. The end.
Excellent evidence, Constable.
Oh, thank you. May I ask for an adjournment, my lad?
German? Certainly not. Why on earth didn't you say why you want an adjournment?
I didn't know an acceptable legal phrase, my lad.
Very well, you may be adjourned, Constable.
You won't all listen.
No, just get on with it. And now, counsel for the prosecution.
Yes. I take you back to Germany, 1944.
Stop those effects! Stop those effects! Why must we go back to Germany, 1944?
Because, my lord, I shall seek to prove that the character of the accused is made palpably clear by the examination of his war record. Up to the year 1944, the accused had won 6 British Empire medals, 12 DFCs, 14 DSOs, 18 médaillons de la Légion d'honneur, 102 military crosses, and 4 VCs, 2 with bars. In the course of gaining these trophies, he murdered no less than 4,118 employees of the German army. The Wehrmacht, going about at that time their daily business of finding Lebensraum for their Vaterland. So hell-bent was he on this course of mass murder, that on one occasion, alone, half dead, and without weapons of any kind, he nevertheless managed to bite to death the entire staff of the 1st SS Panzer Division stationed in Basingstoke. This
Basingstoke in Hampshire?
No, sir. This complete negation of the basic codes of civilization.
Basingstoke where?
Basingstoke in Westphalia, sir.
Oh, I see. Carry on.
This utter disregard for the sanctity of human life shown by this monster.
No, there was Basingstoke in Westphalia.
It's on the map, sir.
What map?
The map of Westphalia as used by the army, sir.
Well, I've certainly never heard of Basingstoke in Westphalia.
It's a municipal borough, sir, 30 miles north-northeast of Southampton. Its chief manufacturers are leather...
Southampton in Westphalia?
Yes, sir. Agricultural equipment, leather goods, rubberware, and nearby remains of Basing Castle burnt up.
Who compiled this map?
Cole Porter, sir.
Cole Porter? Who wrote Kiss Me Kate?
No, alas not, sir. This is the Cole Porter who wrote Anything Goes.
Oh, it's the same one. In olden days, a glimpse of stocking.
I beg your pardon, sir?
In olden days, a glimpse of stocking was looked on as something shocking. Now, heaven knows, anything goes.
Oh, no, this one's different, sir.
How does it go?
Can I go home?
Shut up! Well, how does your anything goes go?
Sir, I rather think this is...
Come on, how does your anything goes go?
Anything goes in, anything goes out. Fish, bananas, old pajamas, mutton, beef, and trout.
No, that's not it.
On another occasion, the accused wore a uniform solely designed for the purpose of murdering German citizens. To wit, 1 pair of army boots value £3.7, 1 helmet value £2, 1 pair of gaiters value £68 10 1 battle dress top value
£68 10 for a pair of gaiters?
Yes, they were special gaiters, sir. 1 pair of serge trousers value £7.
Gaiters?
They were made in France, sir. 1 rifle value £26.
What was special about them?
They were made of a special fabric, sir. The buckles were made of Empire silver instead of brass. The total value of this uniform...
Why was the accused wearing special gaiters?
They were a presentation pair from the regiment, sir. The total value of this uniform...
Why is the regiment presented with a special pair of gaiters?
Sir, I submit that it is totally irrelevant whether the gaiters were presented to him or not.
I think the court will be able to decide that for themselves. I want to know why the accused was wearing a special pair of gaiters presented by the regiment.
He used to do things for them, sir. The total value of the uniform...
Do things? What things?
He used to oblige them, sir. The total value of the uniform...
Oblige them?
Yes, sir!
How did he oblige them?
He used to make them happy in little ways. The total value of the uniform can therefore not have been...
Did he touch them at all?
Sir, I submit this is totally irrelevant!
I want to know how he made them happy!
He used to ram things up that...
All right. No need to spell it out. What has the accused got to say?
What?
What have you got to say for yourself?
me?
Yes, what have you got to say?
Well, I have to admit the fact that I am a habitual mass murderer, referring to murder or mass than any other way of murdering. But I have to say, in my defence, that I come from a society which is in itself inhumane
shut up!
and reflects the whole moral structure of capitalism.
If you don't
which
shut
led
up,
to the Vietnam War
I'll shoot
and
you!
other such, just as I thought, you see. There's an example of boredom.
And there's plenty more where that came from, Mr. Mass Murderer.
My lord, I really ought to protest at the vicious shooting of my client.
And you! I'm in charge of this court. Stand up. Sit down. Go move. Move. Get up. See? Now, on with the pixie hats. And order in the skating vicar. And anything goes in, anything goes out. A fish, bananas, old pajamas, mutton, beef, and trout. Anything goes in, anything goes out. A fish, bananas, old pajamas, mutton, beef, and trout.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to announce that Bertrand Russell has kindly returned from the dead to be with us tonight for a few brief reminiscences of his early days at Cambridge. Thank you.
One of the advantages of living in Great Court Trinity, I seem to recall, was the fact that one could pop across at any time of the day or night and trap the then young G.E. Moore into a logical falsehood by means of a cunning semantic subterfuge. I recall one occasion with particular vividness. I had popped across and had knocked upon his door. "Come in," he said. I decided to wait a while. "Come in," he said once again. I opened the door accordingly and went in. And there was Moore, seated by the fire with a basket upon his knee. "Moore," I said, "do you have any apples in that basket?" "No," he replied, and smiled seraphically, as was his wont. I decided to try a different logical tack. "Moore," I said, "do you then have some apples in that basket?" Once again, he said no, leaving me in a logical cleft stick from which I had but one way out. "Moore," I said, "do you in that case have apples in that basket?" "Yes," he replied, and from that day forth we remained the very closest of friends.
Next, please. I think you're the last for audition today.
Yes.
You can read music, can you?
Oh, yes, I can.
Can you sight read music?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you.
Would you just mind singing that for me, please? Just,
Fine.
you know, in your own time. Just relax. I'll go over here. Just relax.
Yes, indeed. I say potatoes, and you'll say potatoes. You say tomatoes, and I say tomatoes. Potatoes, potatoes. Tomatoes, tomatoes. Let's call the whole thing off. You say pajamas, and I say pajamas. You say Bahamas, and I say Bahamas. Pajamas. Pajamas, Bahamas, Bahamas. I'm sorry, I just can't see what's wrong with this relationship.
Oh, I know. What about Ruth? Oh, Sally. Oh, no, Isabel.
My darling, Isabel is a lovely name. It's a lovely name. But what should we call it if it's not a girl?
I think Piggy is a good name.
Sustain we now a time when petty lust and overweening tyranny offend the rock of state. Thus fly we now, as oft with Phoebus did fair Easterope unto proud Flanders shores, where the warlike Warwick, like unto the kite that sat on Hector's head, is bound for England and for war!
And so we bid you welcome to our court, fair cousin Albany, and you our sweetest Essex. Take this my hand, and you fair Essex this, and with this bond we'll cry anon, and shout Jack Cock of London to the foe.
Jack Cock of London.
Jack Cock of London. Approach your ears, and kindly bend your conscience to my peace. Our ruddy scouts to meet this hefty news aboard, the naughty English, expecting not a pregnancy in our plan, have with some haughty purpose bent egoism to the service of their sail. So, even now, while we to the wanton lute do strut, is brutish Bolingbroke bent fair upon some fickle circumstance.
Some fickle circumstance.
Get thee to Gloucester, Essex. Do thee to Wessex, Exeter. Fair Albany to Somerset must seek his route, and Scroop, do you to Westmoreland, where shall bold York, and rooted now for Lancaster, with forces of our uncle Rutland, enjoy his stand-up with sweet Norfolk's host. Fair Sussex. Get thee to Warwicksbourne, and there with frowning purpose tell our plan to fetch the city here. But he shall press with most insensate speed, and join his warlike effort to bold Dorset's side. I, most royally, shall now to bed, to sleep off all the nonsense I've just said.
Oh, death, his face my shroud hath hid.
words in mouths of fools do oft themselves belie. Good fool, shall Essex prosper?
I prosper.
Say you prosper, fool.
I prosper.
Marry then, methinks we'll prosper. And saying prosper, do we say to cut the knot which crafty nature hath within our bowels locked up. But soft, and who comes here?
Oh, good my lord, unstop your ear, and yet prepare to use the optic tear to my experience. Such news I bring as only can break ope the casket of thy heart. Not 6 miles hence there grows an oak, whose knotty fuse engendered in the bosky wood doth raise itself most impudent towards the solstice sun. So saying did there die, and dying so did say.
Oh God, this was most gravely undertaken, and undertaken at Essex gravely answered it. Why then we'll muster, and to the field of battle go, and unto them our English sinews show.
Why then was this encounter nobly entertained? And so by steel shall this our contest. Now, be buckled up. Come, sir. Let's toot.
Let's toot. Good steel, thou shalt thyself in himself, thyself embowel.
Come, sir.
No, sir, no hit or miss.
Art foppy the mouth.
Art more foppy the brain than foppy the mouth.
Come, sir, again.
Come, sir, let's...
Oh, God! Cousin, thou hast done me wrong.
Now is steel twixt gut and bladder interposed.
Oh, saucy Worcester. Dost thou lie so still?
Thou hath mortality, her tide collected, and sovereign Albany to the worms his course committed, yet weep we not. This fustian life is short. Let's on to Pontefract to sanctify our court.
The storm of Prescott timber, the cross of with the best girl by the side, we sing. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I'll sleep all night and I work all day.
He's a lumberjack, he's okay. He sleeps all night and he works all day.
I cut down trees, I eat my lunch, I go to the lavatory. On Wednesdays I go shopping and have buttered scones for tea.
He cuts down trees, he eats his lunch, he goes to the lavatory. On Wednesdays he goes shopping and has buttered scones for tea. He's a lumberjack and he's okay. He sleeps all night and he works all day.
I cut down trees, I skip and jump, I like to press wildflowers. I put on women's clothing and hang around in bars.
He cuts down trees, he skips and jumps, he likes to press wildflowers. He puts on women's clothing and hangs around in bars. He's a lumberjack, he's okay. He sleeps all night and he works all day.
I cut down trees, I wear high heels, suspenders, and a bra. I wish I'd been a girlie, just like my dear papa.
He cuts down trees, he wears high heels, suspenders, and a bra. He's a lumberjack and he's okay. He sleeps all night and he works all day. He's a lumberjack and he's okay.